Okay, hi, Mrs. H Psychology. This is a new video for the AQA new spec. All right, it's for paper 2, the gender topic, and it's more up to date than the old video that I made, and this is on cognitive explanations of gender, Kohlberg. So the cognitive explanations cover there are two cognitive explanations we need, Kohlberg's and gender schema theory. And these are the page references that we use. These are the books and resources that we use. PhG is the pink-haired girl revision book. That's the Illuminate book. This is the online. There's the hard copy, and there's Hodder. Okay, what do we need to know? I would say in terms of an essay question, you should start with some background information. For example, that Kohlberg believes that children actively seek out role models to copy. We could say that, this is through the environment, but there are biological restrictions. You can have a read of that. And the idea is that children's discovery that they are male or female actually causes them to identify with others of the same gender, not the other way around, like SLT believe, okay? So it is then discovering whether they're male or female, which is the cause for them to look at those role models. So we could also bring in, it's a stage theory, so it's universal, occurring across the world, and there are age-related stages. So let's have a look at the stages. So this is what you would definitely need to include. Okay, so these are the details, and you would need to include these 3 stages. So first stage is gender identity, roughly about 2 to 3 years. And here the child can identify themselves as male or female, but it's just superficial. It is just a label, like giving somebody a name. It's not fixed, but if, for example, you ask them which one is like you, they could correctly label themselves as a boy or a girl. Second stage, gender stability, roughly 3 to 5 years. This is that they understand that their own gender is fixed, it's stable, but they don't get it for other people. And this is where you need to bring in this. They would be confused by changes in appearance, for example, hair and clothes. So if they saw a man in a kilt, they may still think that that is a lady, okay? And it's not until gender constancy, the third stage, around about 6 or 7, where they realize then that everybody's sex is fixed. So it doesn't matter about appearance. They realize that if this is a little boy now, he'll be be a daddy when he grows up, something like that. Okay, so those are the key stages. Name them accurately, give a rough idea of the age, but it's more the descriptor that's important. Be careful you're not just fooled by the age. Okay, so the age is a rough guide. It's really the identity and what they can do. So if they give you an exam question, be guided by what they can do, what they understand, not the age. Okay. So now we need to present evidence to support it. So you've got Slaby and Frey. Here's some detail about that, so you can pause the screen. Okay, there's a page reference, but I would use Slaby and Frey, and we've also got Munro's cross-cultural as 2 pieces of evidence. So pause the screen, take what you need. You do need little bits of detail. Okay, things like this. They were shown split screen of males and females performing the same tasks and what they found, etc. Okay, so I'm going to flick the screen up. We'll have a look at some more. So further evidence also from Thompson, and we've also got some extra here on Marcus and Overton. Okay, so you need to make sure you have some clear evidence to support with some nice detail. You don't need all of it, but I would say that you want to have possibly two, 3, and if you're really going for top marks, try to bring in the extra. Okay, so if you're going to use Marcus and Overton, here are the results. But of course, with any theory, we also need to evaluate it. So we want some criticisms of the theory. So we would probably start with something like this. There's a problem over the ages of development. Okay, so, and constancy isn't supported. So many children show gender appropriate behavior before gender constancy. And there's an example to develop your point. Okay, so that doesn't really support Kohlberg's stages, or the ages of his stages. Also methodological issues. So one key area was that when inquiring about this, they were using interviews with children and very young children. And although obviously they would be trying to gear the questions up to the children, it's possible that the children understood the gender concept, but were not able to articulate it, or did not understand, or maybe had some demand characteristics, so they wanted to respond in the way that they thought the examiner, the experimenter, was leading them really. Okay, and if that is the case, if they have this concept, but they're not able to articulate it very clearly, then that would mean that research would lack internal validity. You're not testing what you think you're testing. You're testing their vocabulary, not their understanding. That's a problem. Useful also to make comparisons with gender schema theory. So once you've had a look at the video on gender schema, you'll be able to do this. But here the BEM's idea is that they don't need to understand gender as permanent, whereas Kohlberg's theory states that they have to reach constancy and then they look for role models. BEM's is saying that they don't actually have to have that constancy yet. And of course, what you're always going to be trying to do is make comparison with other approaches. So I'll show you in a moment the other approaches. So useful for you to bring in any comparison here. So you could compare Kohlberg with biological approach. You can pause the screen and have a look at this. Against SLT, social learning theory, against Freud's theory. So pause and make a note on a couple of these. And just so you know, June 19, we had this actual question in the paper, paper 3. Describe and evaluate Kohlberg's explanation for 16 marks. Here's a summary of what they were expecting students to refer to. And we've also got the levels here for you to have a look at. So obviously pause the screen, have a look at any of that. And then go on to gender schema theory.